Hello and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. Last time we I think we did the things and Rin came in and we were just like, can you not? And also Emmy is in a wheelchair. She let her little stump get affected. The sunlight breaks through my window shortly before my alarm ruins the morning silence. I feel sore. The events of the previous evening suddenly intrude upon my consciousness, and I find myself blushing. That was an eventful evening, and it explains perfectly the soreness in my lower back. Oof. I did not. My entire body was unhappy with you saying that. The walk back, as I recall, had been rather tense. My trousers having been soiled, I had washed them off in the bathroom before going back to my room. But there was still a fairly obvious looking stain on the front. Aw, that poor man's jizz right in him pants. Yucky. It's too yucky. Fortunately for me, the only person I ran into on my way back was Kenji, and he didn't notice a thing because he's actually blind. Well, apart from my being in the general vicinity. Of course, he'd asked how the night went and whether or not I'd learned anything of importance. I don't even know if I opened my mouth to answer. I was too tired to care. And this morning, I'll admit that I'm feeling pretty worn out. Still, Emmy had promised to meet me at the track, and I'd hate to disappoint. Oh, Emmy! Not the wheelchair! She is indeed waiting for me when I arrive, doing her best to look cheery despite the fact that she's sitting in a wheelchair. I wave to her and begin stretching. You're early. Emmy frowns and shakes her head. Ridiculous! You are late! Overslept, he Sal. All tuckered out. Well, at least she seems more like her old self. And as expected, she doesn't seem that shy about mentioning our previous activities. Hey, you're lucky I could show up at all. All that cardiovascular activity last night, I nearly thought I'd have to see the nurse afterwards. Emmy laughs out loud and her face suddenly becomes concerned. Hey, that's not a... I mean, you're not... Go on, spit it out. It's just that it would be hard to explain if you had an episode while we were... Oh. Oh! Now that she mentions it, it really is a legitimate concern. I certainly hadn't thought of it last night, of course. Other, more pressing concerns had been at hand. Well, I don't think anything we do is going to be any more of a strain than these morning runs, and I handle those fine, so... Emmy considers this point. Uh-oh. I don't like that face. A devious light appears in her eyes. Say. Hmm? The light vanishes and Emmy grins ruefully at me. Can't help but feel vaguely suspicious. I seem to have forgotten a pair of gloves. What do you need gloves for? Emmy indicates the chair upon which she is seated. For this, of course. Sure, regular moving around is all well and good without them, but I want to be able to get a good workout. And to get the kind of speed, you gotta have gloves if you don't want blisters. So what, are you wussing out on me then? Do I have to go it alone? Emmy thinks for a minute, or pretends to think. If I remember right, there's a spare pair or two in the track shed. Don't like where this is going. I see you. Being sussy. Emmy. Sussy. So she does seriously want to do it then. But in her normal school uniform? I'd have expected her to wear her gym outfit or something like this. Wait, what are they doing there? Emmy looks askance at me. Seriously? You can't think of why a shed full of track supplies at a school for the disabled would have racing gloves? Well, when she puts it that way, I suppose that makes perfect sense. Hey, I'm still getting used to this place. Give me a break, huh? I guess I can let it slide this time. Now come on, I'll need your help. I Can't imagine what for, but then again, I didn't have a clue why racing gloves would be in the shed, so I'm not willing to press the issue. This is the sketchiest looking shed I've ever seen. Emmy, look, there's like a deadbolt on it. Emmy navigates her way to the shed easily though I can hear her grumbling under her breath. It's actually kind of cute how she struggles. I hurry a little to reach the door first. Opening it will be easier for me than her. The door opens and Emmy starts to wheel inside, only to come to a sudden halt at the doorway. Just the door sill is slightly too high for her to get over by herself. Oh no! You didn't have to animate it, her just bumping into the sill. She makes a few runs at it, unnecessarily, before crossing her arms and glaring at the offending object. Stupid wheelchair. Isao, can you give me a hand here? Sure, no problem. It's a simple enough matter for me to bump Emmy over the doorway, jostling her slightly. Hey, Ichi there! Whoops, sorry. It's at about this time that I fail to notice where I'm going and run Emmy's chair into a mat. Oh, she's dead now. She gives a startled yelp and topples forward out of her chair. There's a moment of silence as I gaze in horror upon what I've done, and Emmy glares at me. Isao! Yes? Promise me you'll never work at a hospital. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Emmy giggles and holds up a hand. Would you kindly help me back into my chair, Hisao? As I bend down to pick up Emmy, she grins in triumph and pulls me into a kiss that quickly has us both entirely unconcerned about getting her back into the chair. In fact, as I move to a more comfortable position, I confess that the chair is pushed out the door, which, startled by the passage, swings shut. Alright, I mean, I guess it's just as good a time as any to be naked in a storage shed. Well, at least we've got privacy now, which is a good thing as my hands work quickly to remove Emmy's blouse and skirt. Teenagers and their hormonals out here in the storage shed, wildin'. I'm startled to discover that she's forgotten to put her bra on today. Did she plan this? Our arms hook under mine and rest on my shoulders as I kiss my way down Emmy's neck, pausing to give her special attention to a spot right where the neck meets the shoulder. Would you perhaps be speaking of the nape? Mayhaps the nape? That I'd found last night. You've gotten pretty good at the... I do try. Emmy pushes on my chest insistently, and I draw back with a puzzled expression. I got a confession, Hisao. Oh? Having pulled back, I decide instead to focus my attention on her breasts. As she attempts to speak, her words are interspersed with giggles that I find incredibly cute. Actually, whoa, wear gloves. My own reply is rather mumbled onto her chest instead of being addressed to her face. Should have known. Words quickly become irrelevant. Emmy's movements are almost frantic, as if she's been holding something back since we met this morning, and now she has an outlet. I'm very nearly caught off guard by her aggressiveness, feeling her nearly rip my shirt off the way she seems to vie to be in the dominant position. For my part, I confess that I'm caught up in her attitude as well, fighting back, rolling and wrestling even as I caress her breasts, even as her finger digs into my shoulders and I lose track of where we are. You're out here in the middle of the shed where anyone could come get you. So much so that I roll right off the mat and land on something small and rather hard. Ow! Emmy, still flushed and breathing a little heavily, peers at me and bursts into laughter. I'm sorry. Are you alright? Yeah, I think so. Not sure what I landed on though. I reach under my back and pull off the offending object out, inspecting it closely. Excuse me? Moshi Mosh? Personal lubricant, lemon flavored. Wait, what? Emmy's eyes shoot upwards and she begins, if possible, to laugh even harder.
Somehow I don't think this isn't track related.
Oh man, I know whose that is.
What?
It's the track captain's.
Ah, my old nemesis, or kind of. How do you know it's his? It appears that I've asked a stupid question, or at least Emmy thinks so.
Because he's the one who told me the track shed was a good place for... what did he call them? Clandestine encounters?
Oh? He invite you to one or something? Emmy bursts into more laughter. I confess the sight of naked Emmy laughing is oddly beautiful. You think everything is beautiful, you're all hot and bothered. She could literally, like, eat toe jam and you'd be like, oh, it's so beautiful how she, like, licks toe jam. You wouldn't even care. I feel an eagerness to end the conversation and get back to what we were doing, despite my rather pointed questioning.
Isao, the track captain's gay.
Huh. Really? And here I initially thought you two were a couple.
Well, I did have a crush on him when I first joined up, but he wasn't interested. Obviously. But we were good friends, I guess. I mean, he told me about all this, you know?
I hesitate to ask. And really I do, but I ask anyway. But what does he need the, lube for anyway? I mean, he doesn't, What the hell does Emmy always manage to not blush?
Obviously he uses it for, you know, anal.
I try to suppress a snicker. I fail. Emmy's giggling too. And he tells you about all this? Emmy shrugs.
Yeah, of course. He's kind of wild about the whole thing. Says it's a feeling that can't be beat.
Huh. The air in the track shed seems changed with some kind of horrible curiosity. That's interesting. I suppose I'll have to take his word for it.
Well,
Birds outside stop chirping. Do they? Do they? Do the birds stop chirping? Because you guys mentioned anal? Wow, that's crazy. The wind dies down. Somewhere a man is drinking a cup of coffee. He freezes with the cup at his lips.
we could. Maybe. Try it.
My jaws. You didn't have to put the romantic music on for this. This is not romantic. They're giggling in a shed talking about doing anal because they found the track captain's lube. What about this is romantic? Explain to me. My jaw suddenly and spontaneously unhinges and hits the floor. What? Emmy is finally blushing, rubbing the back of her head ruefully.
Well, it's just that we really can't do what we did last night, you know? It would be it wouldn't be safe, you know? I mean, it wasn't exactly a great idea last night. So, you know, we could try this to see if it,
Is as good?
well, yeah, basically.
Huh. I don't know how to feel about this. They just time skipped over.
Careful.
Are you sure about this? I'm positioned behind Emmy, who is looking back over her shoulder, looking a little flushed. Well, obviously once we decided to go ahead with this idea, we had to get back into the mood. That accomplished, we emptied the bottle of lube, and here we are.
Yes, Amy, sure. Come on, before I calm down and think too much about this.
Emmy's breathing is still coming a little heavily, and her response is almost impatient. Which is to be expected, I suppose. We were both so close, and this is kind of delaying things. I think we've both gone temporarily insane. They're really making a big deal out of this, and it's really not. I'll need to chill. At least that's going to be my claim from here on out. try hard not to think about the specifics of what I'm about to get myself into. I mean, I didn't stop you before. Yeah, you done ruined your damn britches. You jizzed all in them and it made a visible, like, stain. So I don't know why this is a big deal to you. You're like, oh, I don't want to think about the specifics of blah, 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 blah. If it was that big of a deal, you wouldn't be this far into it. There's no way this is going to be very clean. Yikes. For a half a second, I was afraid that I was streaming and not recording. And I had a heart attack. But my heart attack has subsided because I am not streaming. That would have been very awkward, and I think I would probably die. A lot of resistance? Like, yep. Oh, Jesus. It feels pretty good for me, but Emmy looks uncomfortable for some reason. Can't really, I don't know why, I mean, not a big deal. If y'all are both so damn uncomfortable, why don't you just not do this? I don't really like this narrative of her, like, doing things because of, like, defeat. She doesn't want to admit defeat. It's kind of whack. She's like, oh yeah, she's gonna win because you know how sex is, you gotta win during sex. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works, Emmy. And it's very not good. Oh, that's nice. At least he go give her a reach around. That's considerate. I mean, if you're gonna be fucking somebody in the ass, you at least owe them a reach around. You know? Damn, he didn't even warn her. He just spooged inside. You gotta say something. You can't just do that. She done tried to rip his pee-pee off with her booty hole. Oh, Hisao. You're not the bumblebee. Sudden switch from pleasure to pain causes me to lose my balance and I fall forward on top of Emmy.
Ow!
Ow. Quickly roll off Emmy and prop myself up, breathing heavily and trying to ignore the pain in my crotch. Emmy yelps a little as she rolls over. She grabs a couple of tissues we've kept handy earlier and cleans up before getting her panties back on and awkwardly leaves the wall. Still breathing heavily, I decide to sit against the wall next to her. The feeling of the cool concrete against my sweating back is a welcome sensation.
That hurt at the end.
Yeah, this was probably not a great idea. Emmy squirms in order to try and sit down beside me without too much pain. Judging by her wincing, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, I'm going to have words with the captain. He was clearly lying.
Well, it's not the same. You don't have male ass. Not gonna matter. It's not for everybody. The utter and absolute ridiculousness of the situation suddenly hits, and I begin laughing. Emmy shakes her head and begins laughing with me.
Hey, Hisao?
Yeah?
We're never doing this again, right?
Yeah, I think my curiosity is satisfied on this one. Emmy nods, satisfied.
Good. I think we should maybe stick to the basics, don't you? I mean, most of this is new to me anyway.
What do you mean, most? Emmy grins impishly.
I'll never tell.
An unpleasant thought strikes me. Even more unpleasant is the thought of having to ask Emmy about it. Still, after what we've just done, it should be a cakewalk. Hey, is there a sink? I'd kind of like to, wash off a little. Emmy's jaw drops.
In the sink?
Well, there's not really anywhere else to do it, is there? And I want to avoid a smell that the nurse might notice. This is the most awkward conversation I've ever had.
You're right. Yeah, it's on the back wall. There might be some soap too.
Thanks. There is in fact a little hand soap, which is better than nothing. No towel though. Guess I'll have to drip dry.
All finished?
Yeah, that'll do for now. It's not like I'm not going to take a shower after we see the nurse.
Glad to hear it. Now help me find my clothes. You tossed them somewhere.
Hey, you were no better. How am I supposed to explain that hole in my shirt,
Sorry, I got a little excited earlier.
It takes some time, but finally we're both more or less clothed. There's a frantic moment where neither of us knows where Emmy's wheelchair is, but I recall it going through the door and rescue it.
Now be more careful going through the door this time, would you? Bumps are not my friend right now.
So sorry we tried this. Emmy shrugs and grins.
Well, it was worth a shot, right? And anyway, it was good exercise, right?
Can't argue that. As we make our way to the nurse's office, I notice that Emmy keeps shifting uncomfortably in her seat, almost like she just got fucked in the ass.
God, this feels weird. Good thing I'm in a wheelchair, Hisao.
Why's that?
Because now I don't have to explain to the nurse why I'm walking funny.
Oh. We're never doing this again. The nurse is at least kind enough to not comment on the marks Emmy left on my shoulders. Nor does he say a word about Emmy's constant shifting about in her wheelchair. Either he didn't notice or he didn't want to notice. All the same, I'm going to have to make sure he didn't slip cyanide into my medicine for a little while. Just to be safe. Shower for longer than usual, just to be sure I'm clean of our little experiment, and then collapse on my bed. Class is in 20 minutes, so I can probably afford a nap. Then I sleep through the whole day. Okay.
Knock, 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 knock.
Who's there? That's not how the joke goes at all. I already said who's there. More importantly, what time is it? More importantly, day. Suddenly catapulted into wakefulness by both the fact that the knocking still hasn't stopped and the fact that it's noon on a school day. Now fully awake, I can remember why I was napping. Better not give that excuse to Muto. Sorry I wasn't in class. I was experimenting sexually with my girlfriend and it tired me out. Yeah, that'll go over well. I wonder how long this knocking is going to continue. Without to answer the door. I'm strangely unsurprised to see Kenji on the other side. But it appears that Kenji is surprised to see me. What the hell are you doing here, man? Well, I was sleeping. Kenji nods in understanding. Knocked out, I see. Told you to be careful around that Ibarazaki chick, man. This is the sort of thing that happens when you aren't cautious. He makes an attempt to look at the back of my head. Did she hit you with something? Or was it a drug? Stop trying to touch me. Kenji produces a flashlight and shines it in my eyes. He had a concussion. I wasn't knocked out. Maybe you just don't remember. This conversation isn't going anywhere. No, I just had a tiring morning and fell asleep. Whatever, man. If you want to be in denial about this, I guess I can't stop you. But you gotta watch out for that girl, man. She's not safe. What? She's not safe to be around. She's one of their most sinister agents. If you're not careful, there's no telling what could happen. She's brought down stronger men than you know. What the hell are you talking about? She's not an agent of anything and she didn't knock me out, okay? I also highly doubt that she's brought down anyone at all. Kenji looks almost offended. I have no idea why. You don't believe me? That's cold, man. Real cold. I'm just trying to look out for you. That's what friends do, you know. We're friends? I had no idea. Then again, I wonder if Kenji knows what being a friend even entails. I feel something like pity for him standing there before me, thinking that we're friends whenever I hate his guts. Maybe he does think he's looking out for me. I know. Sorry about that. Thanks for the warning. I hold out my hand as a peace sign. Kenji shakes it gingerly like my hand could possibly be on fire. There's an awkward silence for a few seconds before Kenji remembers that he's still shaking my hand. Anyway, I need a favor. What kind of favor? I'm out of money. No, you aren't. You got money kept in your desk drawer under a black notebook for emergencies. Did you ransack my room? That's not important. I don't need money anyway. He adopts a very serious tone. I'm about to undertake a major op. It'll blow the whole conspiracy wide open if I'm right. But it's dangerous, so I need you to do something for me in case I don't come back. Sure man, anything. What the hell is he planning on doing? Should I be telling someone about this? If I go missing, wait 3 days, then mail my journal off to the newspapers. It's hidden in my room under a false bottom in one of my desk drawers. How do I get into your room? I don't have a key. Kenji looks at me like I'm crazy. So pick the lock. You know how to do that, right? It's an important skill to learn at a young age. Yeah, of course I know how. I'll be sure to, do that for you if you go missing. I don't think I want to read Kenji's journal. Either way, Kenji seems pretty happy that I've agreed to do this thing for him. Great, man. Great. I'll see you around. I got stuff to do. And he's gone, dashing down the hallway. He made it seem so final. Hope I don't have to carry out his final wishes. Shaking my head, I close my door and walk back to my bed. Guess I should go to class, if only to catch the last half of the day. But I've come this far without going to class today. I did want to read more of that Hawking book Muso lent me. I'm sure he'll understand. Knock, knock, knock. This time the noise jerks my attention away from my book. Experience not unlike being woken up. Who's there?
Me, aren't you glad?
The voice is muffled through the door, but unmistakably Emmy's. I hop up and open the door, smiling broadly. Hey, nice to see you again. Emmy grins back, staring up at me from her wheelchair.
Yeah, you would have seen me earlier, but the damned elevator wasn't working. Had to wait for them to fix it. You'd think they'd keep it in better order, but no.
I chuckle a bit at her vexed expression and invite her in. We gonna do it again? I mean, we've only done it one time today. I mean, there's a bed right here. I don't see why we can't do it again. She wheels in easily, and with my help, she hops onto my bed.
There, much more comfortable than that stupid chair.
A sigh of contentment hangs in the air, and for a minute we both just stare at one another. At this point that I notice the circles under Emmy's eyes. They're not that dark, but they definitely weren't there before. Before I can ask about them, Emmy fixes me with a mischievous stare.
So, I couldn't help but notice you weren't at lunch today. In fact, I don't think I saw you at all. What happened?
Fell asleep. I actually didn't wake up until lunch, and only then because Kenji woke me up.
What had you so tired?
Strenuous workout this morning, slightly uncomfortable too. Emmy coughs, a half-laughing, half-embarrassed noise.
Remind me not to do that again.
No problem, it wasn't exactly great for me either, to be honest. We'll just avoid that from now on. Are you, still sore? Emmy stares at me in disbelief. What? It's a legitimate question.
Of all the questions I never thought I'd be asked, that's one of them.
Well, I didn't ever expect to have to ask it, so we're even. What do you mean you didn't ever have to expect to ask it? Sometimes you can just be sore from normal sex. Why wouldn't you ask for that? Feel like, are you okay? Do you hurt? Did I hurt you? Did you get an owie? Are you okay? Why you no ask that? Dumb. Emmy laughs at this.
I guess so, huh? Well, since you asked, yes, I'm still a little sore. We're never doing that again.
No arguments from here. A yawn escapes her and I raise an eyebrow. Tired? Emmy nods sleepily.
Haven't slept well.
Not sleeping well. I can tell that she didn't mean to tell me this either, because she gives a little start like she's just been caught lying and hastens to add.
It's not a big deal, though.
What's the trouble? Emmy shrugs and refuses to elaborate. Stressed over exams? Another shrug, but after a pause, Emmy nods hesitantly.
Yeah, I guess. Actually, that's why I stopped by.
She begins to look more and more miserable. Not so you'd notice, of course, but her eyes are on her lap. She's fidgeting and her voice is quiet.
Yeah, I need to stop hanging out so much.
Huh? Why? Emmy takes a deep breath like she's been practicing this.
Because you're too much fun to be around. And I can't concentrate when you're near me. With exams coming up soon, I just can't have that distraction. Otherwise, my grades will be pretty lousy, I'm afraid.
I hope you study. She smiles at me, clearly unhappy with the situation.
I'd love it if you could, but we wouldn't actually study, would we? I mean, even now, I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but I kinda just want to, not converse.
Ah. Overwhelmed by my rugged manliness, I understand. That earns me a grin, at least. Emmy shakes her head.
Idiot. You're so full of yourself.
Well, I am pretty irresistible. Man has sex twice and thinks he's an Adonis.
More or less, I guess. So that's the situation, Hisao. I have too much fun around you, and if I'm going to go into exams prepared, I need to be alone.
That's okay. It really seems to have been bothering her. Besides, it's only a couple of weeks, and we'll still see each other in the mornings and at lunch. We can just hang out at school, no problem. After exams, we'll go on a date to celebrate their being over, right? Okay? Emmy grins, pleased by this proposal.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great.
As if to signal the end of the conversation, she leans in and kisses me. The rest of the night is not spent worrying about exams. You don't say.
Boom, 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 boom. Ba, 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 ba. Why is it black and white and sad? This is the sad music. No! Alright, well, I guess we'll figure out why everything is so sad. Then, next episode.